So now let's talk about the cost of capital. So the detailed description about what is cost of capital, what are the different sources of capital have been discussed already. Now let's solve this problem. So the problem given is from the following capital structure of a company, estimate the overall cost of capital, that is WACC, weighted average cost of capital. So other name, as we discussed, it's otherwise called as overall cost of capital or composite cost of capital. Here the two values have been given, that is book value as well as market value. What is the WACC using the book value as well as with the market value, we have to find out. The data given in the problem is the source of capital is given, then book value is given, then market value is given, and individual cost. For example, equity share, the cost for equity, cost of equity is 14%. Reserves and surplus, there is cost of retained earnings is given as 13%. Then preference share capital, cost of preference share is given as 10%. Then debenture, cost of debt is given as 5%. So from this, we need to find out the overall cost of capital or the weighted average cost of capital. So the next step will be, we need to find out. So what we can do is we can provide solution for this particular problem. So first we'll start with the book value. So WACC using book value. That is what we have to find out the first step. WACC, that is weighted average cost of capital using book value. So first, whatever data that is given in the problem, the same thing we can use. Only the book value data alone we can use here. So book value, we'll delete this market value as of now. So now the data is the source of capital, book value, as well as cost is given. So the next step will be, we need to find out the total of all the book values together. So the total of all the book values together will comes around, we'll check here, the total of all these values come around 45,000 plus 15, 60,000, 60 plus 10, 70,000, 70 plus 30, 1 lakh. So the total comes around 1 lakh rupees. So the total is 1 lakh, the total of all the values. The next step will be, we have to find out the weight or proportion of each and every source of capital. So we need to find out the proportion or the weight of individual source of fund. How to find out the weight is, see, for equity share capital, the total amount they have raised is 45,000. What is this proportion of equity share capital with the total? That is what we have to find out. So 45,000 divided by 1 lakh will comprise of 0.45. Then similarly, 15,000 divided by 1 lakh will comprise of 0.15. Then 10,000 divided by 1 lakh will comprise of 0.10. Then 30,000 divided by 1 lakh will come around 0.30. So the next step will be, after finding out the proportion or weight, we need to find out or multiply what is called as the cost multiplied with weight. That is what we need to find out. The next step will be, we need to multiply the cost, individual cost, that should be multiplied with the weight. We need to multiply. So 14 multiplied with 0.45. So when you multiply 14 with 0.45, the value comes around. So 14 multiplied with 0.45. So the value comes around 6.3. So this value is 6.3. So that is this one, 6.3. 14 multiplied with 0.45. Similarly, 13 multiplied with 0.15. 13 multiplied with 0.15. So the value comes around 1.95. Then similarly 10 multiplied with 0.1. So which means how much it comes around? 10 multiplied with 0.1. So which means 1. Then 5 multiplied with 0.3. 5 multiplied with 0.3, it comes around 1.5. So this is the individual cost of capital and the individual cost of capital as well as the cost multiplied with weight. So the total comes around, this is the value. So now what we can do is we have to find out the overall cost of capital. What is the overall cost of capital for each and every source? So the value comes around, just add all the cost multiplied with weight values. So when you add, this total comes around 6.3, 6.3 plus 1.95 plus 1 plus 1.5. The total is 10.75. This 10.75 is nothing but the weighted average cost of capital. So we can write down the values. Weighted average cost of capital using book value is 10.75 percentage. So this is what we found out using book value. In the similar way, we can find out the WACC using market value. So what we can do is we can copy the data which is given in the problem. So just copy and paste the data given. Here book value we can delete. We can delete the book value. Remaining what we require is the market value as well as the cost. The cost is same for book value as well as market value. The next we require the two more columns. We'll take up the two more columns. So that is proportion as well as what you call it as the cost multiplied with weight. So here we'll find out the proportion as well as weight, what you call it as a cost multiplied with weight. So now this total, that is the market value, what is the total we need to find out? 90 plus 10,000, 1 lakh, 1 lakh plus 30 is 1,30,000. So the proportion, our total is 1,30,000. Now we need to find out the proportion. How to find out the proportion? We know here cost of equity share is 90,000. 90,000 divided by the total 1,30,000. So the value comes around 90,000 divided by 1,30,000. It comes around 0.69. So the weight is 0.69. The next is, this is retained earnings or reserves and surplus 0. 0 divided by 1,30,000 is 0. So we can leave that. Then 10,000 divided by 1,30,000. So 10,000 divided by 1,30,000. So the value comes around 0.076. You can take 0.08. Then similarly 30,000 divided by 1,30,000. 30,000 divided by 1,30,000. So it comes around 0.23. So we have multiplied or we found out the proportion or weight. The next step will be cost multiplied with weight. So we need to multiply the cost and then weight. So 14 multiplied with 0.69. So it comes around 9.66. 9.66 is the value. Now 13 multiplied with 0 is 0. So we can just mention 0. 10 multiplied with 0.08. So which means the value comes around 10 multiplied with 0.08. So it's 0.8. The next will be 5 multiplied with 0.23. The value is 1.15. So now we have multiplied all the values. The next step will be, we need to total all these values. So the value comes around 9.66 plus 0.8 plus 1.15. So the total comes around 11.61. 11.61. So now how to write the conclusion is WACC using market value. WACC using market value is, it comes around 11.61. That is what we can write the interpretation, 11.61. So this is how the weighted average cost of capital or overall cost of capital can be found out if the book value as well as market value is given separately.